what fears most people when you talk about Odinaani Igbo spirituality and cosmology is the aspect of using animal blood or sacrificing animals to a higher power, a higher essence. This basically scares people off. Like when you talk to people, okay, now I'm going to offer this animal to this deity, I'm going to offer this animal to my chi. Now you get this reaction from people, making it seem as what you're doing is totally unnecessary, uncalled for. But in Igbo spirituality, this aspect of sacrifice literally is the movers and shakers of whatever we're doing in our cosmology. Now, for today's topic, I'm going to be discussing the importance of blood sacrifice in Igbo spirituality and cosmology. And if you're new to this channel, I would like you to subscribe and share. Invite your friends, your enemies. So far you're an Igbo blood or you're an Igbo enthusiast, or you want to learn every single thing about Igbo spirituality and cosmology, then this is the right channel for you. And don't forget also to visit our blog at www.igboshrine.com and check out our recent blog updates. So before I start this video, I would also like to tell you guys that I have an article on my blog concerning this particular topic that I'm going to discuss here. So if after watching the video and you want to get want to read up, you can actually visit my website and you can connect to us on our social media platforms to get more recent updates on any blog updates that we're going to break to you guys. Now, so let's go into this topic. For today's topic, we're discussing sacrifice. It's important, especially the need. Why, as Igbos, blood sacrifice is very important and essential to us. Now, the general talk here is why blood. Why do people have to offer blood? There are other forms of sacrifices. You could deny your body something serious, something you actually need or want, and it's actually a form of sacrifice. And yes, don't quote me wrong, it's actually a form of sacrifice. You can decide to starve yourself for basic food. For the Christians, they fast. For the Muslims, they also fast, but they also bring in this thing about abstinence within a certain period of time. Now, all those things are basically aspects of sacrifice. But in Igbo spirituality and cosmology, as Igbos, we basically deal with a more serious and primordial access to the universe. And now, to them, blood is an aspect of life. It's an aspect of life that's what you have to offer them for them to actually accept. We the living, we have an abundance of life. And for them, our dead ancestors, what we offer to them is the essence of life, which is blood. In Igbo spirituality also, we believe in a concept of chi. And we believe that every single thing, living or non-living thing, everything has an aspect of chi. Now, what we are offering by sacrificing those animals, we are offering of the essence of that animal, which is the chi of that animal. Now, most people can basically try to argue about all those things, but that's the rationale and that's the logic behind what we practice in Odinaani. Now, within every structured and unstructured spirituality, we have the concept of reciprocity on the universal level. The idea that to receive, you must be willing to give is deeply rooted in every spiritual and religious system. This is a way to create balance. In other words, sacrifice means to offer, to give in total obedience and worship. Sacrifice also is an act of selfless giving and humility to a higher power. Now, in order for us to receive, atone, or ward off evil eye or evil expressions, this is why sacrifice is important. Sacrifice can also be defined as the right of offering a living or a non-living item, object, or a livestock to a divinity to maintain, establish, or restore a relationship between human and a deity. In Igbo cosmological thought, it's important to know that we believe in the world of moving forces. We believe in energies. We believe in the cosmic powers of the universe. We literally believe in Mother Nature and everything that she encompasses. Now, all these forces come together to maintain an equilibrium between man and nature. These forces exist to manifest intentions from the source. We believe that there is nothing new under the sun, that everything has a source, everything has where it's coming from. And that's why for us to get something, information, or manifest our intentions from the source, we therefore need a sacrifice by the way of bloodletting, which is animal sacrifice. Now, our ancestors believed that blood is an essential part of the existence, and by definition, it's a driving force. Don't also forget that in Igbo spirituality, we believe in the concept of chi, and we believe that every human being or everything, living or non-living, has an aspect of chi. Now, by sacrificing an animal to an extent, or sacrificing something, what we are doing at that particular moment and time is that we're channeling the life force of that animal or thing to another entity. Now, we have reasons. Now, we have different reasons why blood sacrifice is important. The first one I'm going to talk about is acknowledgement. What do I mean by acknowledgement? Now, we Igbos, we believe in the concept of Ezume Ezumo. We believe that when we're coming into this earth, we did not just come into this world alone. We came in with a spiritual force that is driving us. Now, this spiritual force now includes our chi, our awu, our Ndi-Igbo, which is our ancestors, and we have the Ndi-Igbo, the marine factors of it. Now, all those entities or spirits make up our Ezumezu. And now, when we're now basically living as a human being, there is a need to acknowledge this other part of us, this other part of our spiritual backends. And the one way that we have to experience or acknowledge them is through sacrifice. Now, this concept of acknowledgement is actually it was portrayed in the movie Coco, Day of the Dead. Now, there's a musical movie, Coco, Day of the Dead. Now, as a part of remembering our ancestral lineage through Igofo, our ancestors have established a pattern of calling the names of our dead ancestors. Now, what does this mean now? When we call the names of our dead ancestors, we basically bring them to our prayers and our thoughts, and we also remember them. Now, from generations to generations, you can be able to transmit this information to the next generation. When a son or a daughter is watching the father pray, calling the names of the dead ancestors long before the child was born, the father was doing what he learned from his father, and the son would also do what he learned from the father, and this cycle would definitely continue. So this way, as we're doing this, we're acknowledging them. We are knowing that these people also exist, even though that they are dead. Now, during rituals, or we have a ritual that we call Isirinde Imbeifendichi. You're doing something for your dead ancestors. Now, while we human beings are expected to eat the rest of the meats and drink and enjoy ourselves, the part that the ancestors, the dead ancestors, are expected to get are basically the blood. Now, this is believed that as human beings, we have an abundance. We have an abundance of life in us. Now, what we can actually offer to our ancestors is the blood, a liquified life. That's why giving up blood sacrifice is very important and essential. Now, the second part of the reasons why blood sacrifice is important here is the part of activation of sacred items. Now, initially, when you go to the market after Odinaani, you can check out my video on exploring the Igbo Shaman market. Now, when we go to the market to get all these artifacts or effigies, what we are getting there are just mere wood. Even though those woods are actually sacred woods, but they are still wood. We've not really consecrated or given that wood a function, what it's meant to perform for us. So now what will happen here is, when we go to the shaman market and we purchase these artifacts, these woods, we come down to a Dibia's house and we now perform the necessary rituals by consecrating that item and giving it a function. Then when that is done, that wood now moves from being just a wood to what we call an okbesi. Now what happens here is that to consecrate these sacred items, we definitely use a blood to activate it. You can literally use urium. That's a urium okoko. That's a chick. You bring it, you basically use a piece of its blood and activate that okbesi. Now we have other processes, other rituals that are kind of encapsulated in this process. But for us to activate these items, we definitely use blood for the activation of sacred items. Now it's not just blood, is not just the only thing that we basically use in activation of these sacred items. There are now 4 that you can use a hot drink to basically activate, but that's for another lecture. Now this kind of sacrifices, most times they don't really require a life force. What they basically need to perform some amosu or akoeli sacrifices are basically dead items or dead items. You get dead items. They will just basically channel or mix up this dead item together, because it's always going to be a shaman or a dibia that will know the right items to use for this kind of sacrifices. Then sometimes it can actually be activated with a life or a life force. Now the ripple effect of this kind of sacrifice is that most times these forces that are meant to be malevolent turns around to be benevolent, because you've given it something that it could take and it will not deny it, and it will take that that sacrifice and basically either it basically starts working to your own favor, or it's basically just lets you be. These are the reasons why our ancestors commissioned sacrifice as a way of maintaining or creating balance. Now we have another aspect of it, which is Thanksgiving. Now most times when sacrifices have been offered, sacrifices have been offered to a deity to create or manifest an intention. Once that is done, it's always advisable for you to bring something, just like the concept of tithing in a Catholic church. We have to bring something to show an appreciation to this higher power that helped you to achieve this thing. So in some situations, it could be a family that don't really have kids, and they meet a higher power and solicit for its help in fixing this problem of barrenness. So once the children starts to come, it's expected that something as little as cow, goat or chicken will just be brought in to say thank you. This is to acknowledge you've done this thing that we want you to do for us, and we're appreciating you for it. So these are just little things that our ancestors figured out are the reasons why sacrifice and blood sacrifice is important in our cosmology. Now we're going to talk about people's attitude towards performing sacrifices. Now people should know that for you to perform this kind of sacrifices, you need to be at a particular state of mind. For instance, if you're going to your milowa, you're going to the water to perform a certain sacrifice, it's required of you to basically not just be pure of heart, but you need to be pure of body. This means that prior before you go there, you should abstain from sex, you should abstain from taking too much alcohol or smoking things. You just need to keep your mind and your body clean. Then after you've gone to perform that ritual at the water, it's also expected of you to sacrifice that day by just staying, recollect with your spirit, with yourself, and just stay and try not to go out to where people are, and try not to mess up your aura at that particular point of time. Now, not just those water, but other deities require this from people. Other there are some sacrifices that would also require you to not do some certain things before and after you've performed it. Now this kind of helps to create instill some sort of discipline to the adherents. Now another part why the attitude to sacrifice is actually important is humility. It's not for you to come to a particular higher power and try to start being rude or being aggressive with it. You need to understand that these people or entities or powers, they've existed long before you. So it's always important to come and shower them with praise. And you don't need them more. You shower them with praise. You try to if you can sing, you sing. You talk, and once you've awoken them, they will be keen to listen to you. Now all those things and many more are reasons why people need to know how to approach these higher powers. In some instances, when you approach them with a filthy body, a filthy mind, basically that's what we call it. They will basically send in a negative energy, and once that happens, you're basically compounding your problem more than you should actually fix it. So to conclude on this topic, I would also like to tell us that the process of sacrifice, or the concept of sacrifice, is to create intentions through giving. Now this means that a ritual is basically a means of communication between man and cosmic forces. Now for you to sacrifice, you have an intention you're trying to manifest. Now what are those intentions? Are those intentions pure? Are they attainable? Are they manageable? Because some people, you don't have a good job, you don't have the basic amenities or basic necessities of life, and you meet a higher power and you're trying to tell that higher power to make you to be a billionaire or make it to be like, it doesn't just work that way. Now this is where the intentions comes in play. Those intentions, are they malevolent? Are they trying to basically fight against somebody else? Your intentions, what you're trying to manifest, is it for the betterment of yourself and human life, or are you trying to take another person's life? So all those questions are very important, and you need to start asking yourself all those questions before you meet or you go to a higher power to perform a sacrifice. You need to ask those questions. Now blood, I've talked about blood being a liquified life, and that's why it's important to offer up blood. Definitely in our cosmology, we don't shed human blood. We don't sacrifice human blood. I don't know what the Wikipedia have told you, but you need to know this. We don't sacrifice human blood. That's the highest form of life, and it's sacred in our cosmology. That's why we use animal life, animal blood for our sacrifices. Now, like I said before, we're trying to explore, or not trying, we're exploring a more primordial power. Now, basically, other forms of sacrifices can actually work, but when you're trying to give to your chi, to your awo, to a higher power that is definitely primordial and residing deeply in Odinaani Igbo, it's essential to know that blood sacrifice is the key. When I mean blood sacrifice, I'm not talking about human sacrifice. I'm not talking about trying to, let's say, anything malevolent. It doesn't work for us. You're trying to basically compound your problems. So guys, I think that will be all for me here. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you need me to work on any other video on Igbo Spirituality and Cosmology, Odinaani, don't forget to actually write comments, and I would work on it. And also don't forget to share this video, move to our website, subscribe if you've not subscribed before. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day. Yagazi.